6 out of 10 Republicans recommend FTR Radio to everyone they know. The other 4 are rhinos. FTR Radio, online at FTRradio.com. FTR Radio salutes some of the great Democrat presidents in the radio era. FTR Radio.
You're listening to Liz and Taylor.
Alright, so why can't I get another tattoo? Come on.
Because you get another tattoo, then you start talking another guy.
But not the movie star, the battling duo from the Right War on FTR Radio.
Oh, come on.
You're the one who said it.
That was a joke, partially.
Enlist in the Right War. Won't cost you nothing. Not as good as military service, but it's got to count for something, right?
Good evening, folks. Thank you for listening to FTR Radio. I'm Liz Harrison. This is The Right War. Be afraid. Yeah, that would be me in a very bizarre mood.
Can I just make a suggestion right now?
Yes, dear. That would be Taylor.
Yes. Can you play my disclaimer right now?
No. Absolutely not. I have to chain you to the wall first.
Oh.
You know? Because you might try to stop me.
Boyd in the chat room just said, "Oh goody, I was afraid we would have a Taylor all Taylor night."
Oh, good God.
Fine.
I love you, Boyd.
Since I know that I'm not wanted, and, you know, since you're in a very bizarre mood and Gary Eaton's supposed to call in 15 minutes, vamp for 15 minutes, Liz. I'm gonna, I don't know, go play Battlefield 4 or something.
You wouldn't do that to me.
No, you're right, I wouldn't.
You love me way too much. I guess you're waiting. You want me to play the kid.
Please.
Yes, sir.
This is the Pint-Sized Pundit, and I'm here to tell you that anything Taylor says on the Right War is his opinion and his opinion only. He does not speak for his employees, his employers, employer, or anyone else. He especially does not speak for my mom unless she says so.
Okay, the kid has spoken.
Okay.
You're happy now?
Well, I mean, because now if you decide just to completely go off the rails,
you're covered.
Yeah, I'm covered.
Well, see, I don't understand. You always worry about this whole disclaimer thing, and meanwhile, I'm the one who ends up, you know, doing the crazy stuff.
I'm just not interested in, like, getting in trouble.
For stuff that other people say.
Yes, I do have a reputation, after all.
Yeah, so do I, apparently.
Well, yeah, you have a very good reputation.
No, I don't. I have a very wretched one.
You're an excellent writer. You're a good person.
Wow, you struggled for that word.
I was switching tabs. I was switching tabs.
Oh, that's your story and you're sticking to it.
Well, it's because it's the truth.
Okay. Oh dear. Poor Prairie Dog, the hockey game sucked. I'm hoping that I'm at least a slightly more amusing.
Well, you definitely are.
Whatever you say, dear.
Okay, I've got to stop playing with Taylor. That's mean.
Yeah, Yeah.
You were telling me about some goofy person from Rhode Island who decided to throw their hat in the ring because, we didn't have enough hats there already.
Well, it's Lincoln Chafee is who it is. Has decided that, and Lincoln Chafee is the former governor of Rhode Island. He's a former senator of Rhode Island. He is a former Republican who was a Republican from 1999 to 2007, then became an independent, then joined the Democratic Party. Who was it? Jim Jeffords was the other. Who was the other guy who switched from Republican to Democrat?
Christ?
2000? No,
Christ?
not Christ. Not Christ. No, there was somebody else in the northern states who did that when Bush was elected.
Arlen Specter.
Okay, it was Jim Jeffers. That's what I thought.
Jim Jeffers, jumping Jim Jeffers.
Yeah. He was kind of one of... I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of the Republican... of the Republican Party. But... he did that. By the way, Jim Jeffords, may he rest in peace, because I didn't realize that he had died last year. So may he rest in peace. But, Lincoln Chafee announced today that he is running for president. And in his announcement, Lincoln Chafee's announcement, is that he attacked Hillary Clinton over her Iraq war vote. And then he basically focused on that, wanting to go to the metric system, and there was something else that he did. It was like a little weird.
Wait, are you talking... What did he say?
He wants the metric system, and he called for peace. And he said that there should be a bold... It said that switching to the metric system would be a bold embrace of internationalism.
Okay.
And it would be a symbolic integration and a good faith gesture to the rest of the world.
Okay. So basically he's being Ron Paul.
No. I wouldn't say that.
Well, okay.
Ron Paul and Lincoln Chafee are on opposite sides of the...
No, I meant by the crazy ideas concept. And utterly and completely irrelevant, or just absolutely not going to get anybody to vote for you. Pick and choose.
Can send all complaints
Green Party. There you go. He's our Green Party candidate.
You can send all complaints about the fact that Liz Harrison mentioned
I don't care. It has nothing...
Liz at goldwatergal.com.
No.
Liz at goldwatergal.com.
Oh, please. Stop it. Really.
And please note that I had nothing to do with it. I am innocent for once.
No, you're not. I'm sorry. Anytime anybody brings up a candidate who brings up, crazy wackadoodle ideas, my brain immediately goes to, because the Green Party has really not been in play for how long now?
Since 2000.
Right. It's been too long. So it reverts to Ron Paul. Give me another crazy candidate. Oh, wait, Bernie Sanders. So there you go. Although they're trying to mainstream socialism with him. Or at least that's what everybody's worried about. I'm sorry, Washington Times and whoever else was throwing fits and saying, "Oh no, they're mainstreaming socialism and making it seem normal." No.
Well, we live in a corporatism environment already.
No, basically it boils down to Hillary isn't doing open events yet. So Bernie's going to get headlines because Bernie is doing what?
Open event.
Oh, exactly. And as soon as Hillary starts doing open events, what's going to happen to Bernie? Nobody's going to show up at his open events anymore, and he's going to, well, who knows. But, yeah, he's not going to be as popular anymore. Then again, Hillary wasn't either. Last I heard, she was trying to do a women's thing, and she had to open it up to men because she couldn't get enough women. But all women are supposed to vote for Hillary.
I still say she's not going to be the nominee.
I'm still waiting for justification to vote for Hillary Clinton simply because she doesn't have a penis. Yeah, that's not enough reason. You have to give me more reasons.
Well, it's not like people are going to tell them to go vote for Bruce/Caitlyn Jenner because he still has one.
You had to say that. Somebody on my Facebook went and posted a picture that presumably was showing the backside of him from the Vanity Fair cover.
The only reason why I know that he apparently still has one is because Mickey White brought it up last night when...
Yeah. But looking at the cover, either they did a lot of photoshopping or I really don't want to know how they hit it.
Okay, let's move on.
Yes.
We're really trying to kill time because Gary Eaton is supposed to join us in hopefully about 5 minutes or so.
Right, which means that we will be going to a break very shortly. And so y'all don't have to listen to us talking about this insanity anymore. But, yeah, really. Oh, that reminds me, I've got to, move music or something.
That does help. That does help.
Yeah, it does. Because, we have Gary Eaton on, and I'll get hurt if I go and play, the Rainmakers, because that's just not appropriate. That just doesn't work. So, I don't want to get in trouble. I like not being in trouble, at least in that case. Oh, there we go. We'll go and choose that one. No, I'm not going to share and say what I was doing. So, yeah, okay. I gotta get something with Shelley's voice on it. Well, hey.
Because Shelley has the better tattoo?
She does?
I'm just... I haven't seen Gary's tattoos, so I can't comment.
Oh, well, we don't have to worry about a break or anything because I believe we have a call.
Oh, we do?
We have a caller. And I believe his name would be Gary Eaton.
Who, me?
Yeah, you!
What's going on?
Not too much. How are you doing, darling?
I'm doing frickin' bitchin'.
Ah, gotta love it. I have missed talking to you.
What are we going to talk about? Music?
Oh, hell yes.
Okay. Sounds good.
I was just, talking about the fact that, I had to get rid of that Rainmakers government cheese bumper, which I'm getting yelled at over it because, they like those words.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I was pulling up some of the Army You Have.
Oh,
saying,
sweet.
Yeah, you have to have Shelley's voice in there somewhere.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like Shelley sing.
Yeah, Shelley's great. I keep on hearing... It's very strange. It's like one of those out-of-body experiences or something.
Uh-oh.
But I listen to the Rainmakers, and it's like my brain goes and tries to convert it and put Shelley's voice in there.
Yeah. I think I might have played with the Rainmakers back in the day at some point, which is really strange that you bring that up. I think so. I'm not sure. The name, I see them, and it's like... I remember that song, and it's so long ago. I might have played with them a long time ago.
Well, that would be very cool.
Would that be when you were part of the Continental Drifters?
Oh, no, it wouldn't have. It might have been some other time. It might have been.
Oh, yeah, that would have been after that.
Same period.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
just trying to do a transition to the Continental
That was
Drifters.
smooth. That was freaking smooth.
Yeah.
As smooth as a...
Never mind.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, right. Let's stay out of that. So, yeah, what's going on, you guys? What are you guys talking about? What did I get in the middle of?
Oh, we were, like, killing time before we knew you were going to be calling in, so...
Well, to
I
be
brought
honest,
up Lincoln
like-
Chafee. It's my fault.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's great. That's a good transition as well. Well, I just got in the door, so I'm just settling in. I'm going to have a smoke, and let's talk whatever you want to talk.
Yeah,
Now, when
I
you
was-
say have a smoke, what are you? Cigars, cigarettes,
I'm not
cigarillos?
a cigarette. I'm one of those
Okay.
people. I still smoke. I got to stop soon, but I still smoke. Just to
How many
my
cigarettes have
last
you had
bite.
today, Liz?
Don't even ask. Do not even ask. It's not as bad as yesterday, though.
Oh, well, that's good.
And
Okay,
considering
so today
today
what
was
you're
worse
doing.
than yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm ahead
Well-
of the game.
Yeah. So I was just at the daughter's soccer practice. So now let's transition to some hard talk. What are we going to talk about? I don't want to.
Oh,
talk
I
about
don't know.
Chaffee.
No,
I just put
no.
his last name is Chafe. That's just bad as it is.
Yeah. But let's see, the Continental Drifters, I'm looking there and I'm looking at the names of the people who were involved in that, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, holy crap, you hung with these people, Gary, goodness.
Well, I did
Of
stuff
course.
before this whole Army You Have thing came about. See, the thing is, I was in this band. It was the Continental Drifters, and it was, a band that we started. We used to hang at this club called Raji's, and I had this buddy Carlo, who was like my favorite drummer of all time. And he was a sound guy there, and I was hanging out with him and my other buddy Mark, Mark Walton, who was a bass player in bands like the Dream Syndicate, and he played with some other bands too. Well, he's a really great bass player. And then we were walking somewhere to get some smokes or to get some whiskey or something. Carlo and I were walking across the street. He asked me if I wanted to join this band he's starting. And he's like, we'll do your songs, bro, and we'll do my songs, and we'll do my buddy. There's another guy named Ray who was going to be it. We'll do Ray's songs. And it started off with some of us, and this other guy named Danny Magoo was going to play keyboards. And Danny is just a really amazing keyboard player. I think he's playing with Social D right now. I know he played with Tom Waits after the Drifters, and I think he's playing with Social D right now. But he was the original keyboard player. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then he left, and then they got this guy, Peter Holsapple, who was at that time, he had just left REM. He was like a side guy with REM. So he needed something to do, and he wanted to play with us, so the drummer invited him to join the band.
Okay.
And it grew out of that. It kind of grew out of that, and out of that, his friends, Susan and Vicky started showing up. Susan Calsel and Vicky Peterson started showing up. And they kept saying, we want to be in your band. We want to be in your band. You guys are great. We want to be in your band. So, time went by. They started jamming with us a lot, and then I invited them to join the band.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, what
Started
the
playing
hell
all
do
the
you
time.
say? I mean, Vicky Peterson, you're talking about a girl who used to sing with the
Yeah,
the
but
Bangles.
Yeah, but see, the Bangles were totally not what we were. We were like the band. We were
Okay.
kind of a rootsy band. I mean, before they joined and stuff, we were really kind of down and dirty, kind of rootsy. It was, it was just pretty, it was pretty rootsy. And they were not that, but they wanted to do that, so they joined on. They just started singing backgrounds with us, and then eventually we started doing their songs, and started getting more involved. It was good. It was a pretty cool thing. It was a good vibe.
I think that somebody else from the Bangles ended up going and doing something heavier too, and I can't remember. I know it wasn't Susanna.
No, well, Mickey Steele, the bass player, used to play with us too. She used to come out and jam with us when Mark wasn't around, or she would just show up and we would do her songs.
Yeah, you know what?
she
It was
played with
probably her.
Because she's doing her own thing now. She's not in the Bangles anymore. As a matter of fact, they're using Kathy Valentine from the Go-Go. She's playing bass with them. But yeah, Yeah,
It's
they
hard to
split
think
up into
that they're
their own
still
band.
together.
I'm sorry?
It's hard to think that the Bangles are still together.
People still want to go see them. People still know who they are and still want to go see them, I guess. There's a draw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, beyond the Lilith Fair, Susanna going and doing the Eternal Flame over and over again.
Oh, God, that song.
I know.
Yeah.
It killed me whenever somebody went and said, hey, can you play this? And I'm looking and I'm like, oh, you've got to be effing kidding me.
Yeah, well, they made money
Oh.
off of it. It bought them some houses and, Walk Like an Egyptian, too. That bought them some houses and stuff, so, yeah.
Walk Like an Egyptian was at least sort of fun.
Well, the guy who wrote that song and produced it is one of my favorite, new wave producers from back in the day. He, a guy named Liam Sternberg, he produced somebody I really like a lot. Her first record, this chick named Rachel Sweet. And she had some really great songs back in the late 70s, like the beginning of the new wave era. So, that had his stamp all over it. It was cool.
Yeah, of course, I was looking and I'm like, holy crap, they did stuff from the Hollies and whatnot. Wow.
Yeah, we used to do all kinds of crazy covers. We used to do Mamas and the Papas covers. We covered Stone Soul Picnic by oh my God, I'm blanking on her name. But the Fifth Dimension did it, but it was written by if somebody's listening, they'll know. Anyway, but we used to do all kinds of crazy covers, and it was part of our thing. We'd play long sets and just have people come up and jam with us all the time. It was really good.
You're talking the Laura Nero song?
Thank
Niro
you.
song?
You just Googled that, didn't you? You Googled
Yes.
that.
Yes, he did. He had to have.
No, I
we
totally
did that.
did. I
We did
admit
we did 5 stair steps, Ooh Child, things are going.
Yeah.
We did songs like that. Just any songs that had a lot of vocals, we would do those because our vocals were pretty top notch at that time. We had a lot of good vocals. Everybody could sing. Everybody in the band could sing, which was really amazing. Everybody could be a lead singer in that band, and so we switched off lead vocals a lot. And it was kind of a thing. It's kind of funny now because this record is coming out. People go, "Ooh, great! Yeah, I remember that." It's like one of those bands. Like every one of our shows, we probably had 10 people at the shows,
Yeah.
but it was a consistent 10 people, And every once in a while, it'd be a little bit more here and there. But now the band is grown in sort of a legend thing. In retrospect, everybody was there. It seems, but I don't.
Oh,
remember.
yeah.
Everybody was there. So this record is being reissued, and it's kind of a thing, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. It all kind of dropped on Friday. There was an article in the LA Times, and there was the record label Omnivore put out a video, and all this crazy shit was going down on Friday, and I was just like, wow, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So did
I'll
you
take
not
it.
know that this was going on?
Well, I knew it was going on, but I didn't know it was going to drop like that. You know what I mean? I knew it was going on, but I thought it was going to be a while, because there was a lot of stuff to go through. There were a lot of different formats to master and go through, because stuff was on DAT, stuff was on 1-inch tape. There was all kinds of different formats for these guys to try and wrangle, and they must have told a bunch of all-nighters, must have scored a bunch of coke or something like that, and just gone crazy. Because the next thing I know, it's out, and there's this remastered version of this song called the Mississippi up, and I'm like, wow, holy crap, that's the best I've ever heard that song. It's really
Oh,
a trip
you'd be
hearing it.
amazed. You'd be amazed. And let me guess, that was one of the really screwed up ways of recording it, too.
I'm sorry?
I'm betting it was on a 1-track tape or something.
No. What, you mean the masters?
Yeah.
No, they were on DATs. There were 1-inch tapes. There were DAT or half-inch tapes. There were DATs. I don't know if you remember DATs from back in the day. People used to mix down to DAT tapes, and so they were all on different.
Oh,
these
darling, I
different
remember when they were metal covered wax masters.
formats. Oh, good Lord, you're old.
I have one of those. Don't pick on me.
I'm kidding, but yes, it's out, and it's crazy, and I guess we're going to be doing some shows, a couple of shows at the beginning of September.
Oh,
They do
sweet.
They do an LA show and a New Orleans show because half the band was from New Orleans. And
Right.
So
At least until Katrina.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's how these new masters were found, actually, because the record that's coming out is a reissue of a reissue, actually, because the record was released. I left the band in about '93 or something like that, and they all moved to New Orleans. And so the record that we'd been recording, that I played on, never came out. They went and re-recorded the record, or most of the record somewhere else, and then put it out. So the record that I was on never saw the light of day until about 2000 when was Katrina? 2005?
Yeah, 2005.
Okay, so it came out in about 2004. And I went down to New Orleans, and we did a reunion show. And then shortly after Katrina hit, and Mark Walton, the bass player, lived right near a levee. And that levee broke and buried his house. But in the midst of cleaning up afterwards, they found these DAT tapes, and they were the original DAT tape mixes. And they were better mixes than the ones that were on that first reissue. So that's what they worked off of.
And they had been buried.
They were underwater.
Holy crap. Yeah, that is a massive job.
Yeah, so...
Because, I mean, just thinking DAT tape alone, yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of a miracle. Whoever did it, I got to get his name, is a miracle worker.
Yeah, it's right up there with the people who were working on all of the old Johnny Cash and I'm trying to remember who else it was.
Finding all those old Sun recordings and stuff, and
yeah.
You're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, it was on the Strange Inheritances that was on the Fox. Of course, I don't tend to watch that, but as soon as it was Roy Orbison's Children, I think.
Oh, wow, that's heavy.
Yeah, so they found an old master or not even a master, I think it was just a standard cassette tape of him singing a song that he used to sing to them as children.
Wow.
And they remastered it.
Wow.
With the help of Johnny's Children.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's on that level because it was like a totally mangled cassette tape, and they managed with electronic magic overseas and here to put it together.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's
like
magic. It's like when you see the restored silent movies or things like that, and they get them from different sources, and they can make it all, and they format it, and it all looks cohesive. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. But I still get a laugh out of the master that I have, because the poor band that did it, the singer on it was dead.
Oh,
they had to do a remake because they were doing a greatest hits. They had a boot copy,
they get
which
Rich Little
was
to come in and do like an impression of the lead singer.
Oh, no. They changed the lead singer because she died early on in their career, so they had a new lead singer who was doing it on a regular basis. But they wanted the original. And then they went and they looked in their files, and they're like, we don't have the master. Wow. All they had was a reel-to-reel recording of the master.
Right.
And I was like, oh, really? And I went and I saw them in concert here in our town, and I went and I said, hey, Jimmy, why did you go and re-record that? And he said, I couldn't find the master. And I reached in my bag, and I said, you mean this? And he's like, oh my God. But that was Jimmy Beaumont and the Skyliners.
Oh my God. That's funny. It's kind of, that's
yeah.
kind of the same kind of story. It's like, holy crap, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. The story of that is how I ended up on the radio the first time, too.
And the rest is herstory. And the rest is herstory.
Oh, yeah. The rest is herstory. I'm still on the lookout. Somebody has to have... See, WYEP is a NPR station now. So before they became NPR, everything that existed on that station, they make believe it didn't exist.
Wow.
Revisionist history. So I was on the air on them before they went NPR, and it was a community radio station. But you still had to follow FCC rules and all that. But, yeah... And I can't find anybody with the tape of it, even though I know that they ran it. So, one day I may find it.
Oh, it's well, here's the deal. A part of the record that's coming out, there's some actual live recordings of us on NPR, on Morning Becomes Eclectic, I think. I think there might be a cover coming out of it from us when we were on Morning Becomes Eclectic, which is kind of
There you go.
I'm pouring a shot, by the way. Cheers.
Cheers. Better be bourbon.
It is bourbon, as a matter of fact. It is
Very good.
Bullet, I think it's called.
There you go.
Bullet?
Bullet.
Yeah, it's delicious. Cheers. Yeah, so, that's what I did before the this whole Army That You Have thing.
Okay, so
Okay.
let me ask you something, because both of y'all
Sure.
something. When I listen to early Metallica
Yeah,
versus now Metallica,
right.
the way that it's recorded just sounds different in my ear.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a gear file. I'm not really down on it, but there's a lot of compression used nowadays. And there are certain sounds that everybody uses. There are certain templates. Who did the first Metallica records? Was Bob Rock on board for any of that stuff? I forgot.
Let's see. The first one, I'm not sure. Let me look.
Yeah, of course he has to pick
because-
Metallica.
Well, because that's the one that I can pick off the top of my head, where I've heard their early stuff, and then I'll hear their later stuff, and it sounds completely different.
Well, it's like if you-
the
well,
way
if you listen
that James
to-
Hetfield sounds is completely different.
Well, he was younger, and there was a lot more energy. You know?
Right.
And they were more. It's really funny when bands like that came out. They were more in the punk realm. You know, I mean, they were.
Paul
considered
Curcio was the first one on Kill 'Em All.
But I mean, they were. A lot of that kind of music was so raw. It's like when AC/DC came out. They first came out. They weren't played on regular rock stations. They were played mostly on the new wave station out here, K-Rock.
Right.
Yep.
Because they were so raw. It
Yep.
was just 3 chords and, that voice, Bon Scott's voice, which was interesting. And it was funny because they were almost considered punk rock. So a lot of those bands were kind of in the punk rock. They were kind of, skirting around the edges of it, So there's that. And, they started getting accepted, and that sort of metal, that kind of metal became more accepted and more commercial. So they started getting better, more commercial-sounding producers, who were trying to clean up the sound. So, that's a lot of what's involved with it. The same thing happened. You listen to early AC/DC records compared to what they sounded in the 80s and the 90s, and then you hear the new AC/DC record, it sounds like one of their old records because they went
Yep.
back to that sound.
Yep.
A lot of bands are returning to that sound, thank God.
Right. Well, a good one is when you go and pull, Fly By Night by Rush on wax, and then go and pull it on CD, just from the transfer.
Well, because they
Because-
remastered
Yeah.
CD, thinking they were doing a better job.
Yeah.
It's like when ZZ Top decided to remaster and remix their old stuff. And what was the name of that record it was called? They did their old stuff and they reissued it on a CD, and they made everything. They triggered the drums with electronics and things like that instead of having the stuff. They recorded them originally on 8-track, and so it was real raw sounding and thumpy and really cool sounding and warm. And then they reissued it, to try to get the interest of that era, the taste of the people from that era. And it was a hit, but when you listen to it in retrospect now, it's like, man, what were they doing? I'd rather listen to the older stuff without it being remastered and remixed, without
Oh, yeah.
triggers,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
A lot of coke
Yeah.
going on in those days, so
Oh, yeah.
a lot of burnt out ears, couldn't hear the high ends,
Yeah.
they kept cranking more high end. There's a lot of that going on as well.
Yeah,
They were-
ZZ Top Go
They were
Mechanical
drinking-
doesn't work.
They were drinking Coke.
Yes, the Mexican Coke with the real
Okay.
sugar in it. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's that. I mean, I really have a problem with, a lot of modern recordings. It's getting better now. People are starting to understand and get it now. There are more and more bands coming out and doing a more natural sound instead of trying to step on everything with so much compression and high end. I remember reading a Bob Dylan piece, or somebody interviewed Dylan, I think it was Rolling Stone years ago, and he was talking about how everything is just so slammed and compressed because everybody wants to hear every note and everything all at once. instead of actually listening to, like what I used to do when I was a kid, listening to music with headphones, so I could catch stuff on headphones that I couldn't hear on the speakers. You know, there was room to breathe in the music and the way it was mixed and the way it was mastered. So
Right.
And it's not really, and I know it sounds kind of geezer-like, but it's not really an old man kind of a thing. It's actually sort of a health issue as well, because when you're getting slammed with that stuff, you get ear fatigue. You don't know what you're listening to anymore, and it's bad for you. It gets you tense, you know?
Yeah, well, it's like
modern acoustic records, you know, records of acoustic style music. The acoustics are so tinny and, you know, just all up in your face, and everything has to be all in your face all at once. It just kind of takes away the musicality of things. You know, there are dynamics that are missed, and some people are finally returning to that, which is it's a breath of fresh air.
Right. Well, that's part of the reason. Like, I had somebody picking on me because, what was it, Song of the Day yesterday that I went and I posted on Facebook just for the hell of it, because it showed up on my player and that. It was Matt Nathanson, who arguably, you know, nowhere near rock and roll. This is a guy who is a beta male doormat who runs around sleeping with anything that will and writes songs about it. But I'm being mean.
I have no idea who that is, so.
Yeah, well, he's one of those newer boys. Like I said, the beta male. He appeals to the younger chick crowd.
Was he like the new John Mayer when John Mayer was doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, but he's a little bit more interesting than John Mayer. You play one John Mayer song and you've played them all. At least he switches things up a little bit.
You know who I like? You know who I really like right now? We're talking about that kind of stuff. Somebody who's kind of taking it back is Father John Misty.
Okay.
Look him up.
I'll have to. But anyway, on Nathanson, they went and they asked me, why do you listen to that? And I said, because it's not totally in my face.
Yeah.
It's like not knocking me over.
Wow. Yeah, well, good. You know, I mean, you want to listen, you know. Sometimes I used to like to, when I was a kid, first learning how to play and stuff, I really like to dive into the music, you know, and just lay there and listen to it. You know, I find my daughter doing that now, which makes me very happy. Or she's just laying in bed listening to music with headphones on. It makes me very happy that she's doing that. But that's what I used to do because I really wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear the whole thing. You know, I wanted to hear all of it. And now, you know, with stuff. I mean, with the way music is mixed, it's just a big slam in your face. You know.
What I like doing is when I'm able to find a band where when I put the headphones on and listen, I can be able to pick out individually the guitar, the lead guitar, the rhythm guitar, the drums, the bass, that sort of thing.
Yeah, what's that going on over in the right speaker? What was that? You know, you can find it. It's like, oh, wow, that's a rad, you know? Like, why did they do that? You know, it's good.
Yep.
Yeah, dig it, man.
I'm so glad there's somebody else out there who does that.
Oh, that's you know, you talk to any geezer like me, and you're going to find that's what we all did, you know, as musicians and such, you know. So.
Well, I'm one of those terrible people. I'll go and throw on Rush instrumentals, whether it's Pert or Lifeson. You know what I mean?
I've never been a Rush fan, so I can't relate. Have you ever seen
I'm sorry. I'm impressed with Lifeson because, and I'm trying to think of the name of it, and I can't, but it was on one of their later albums, the last tour that I actually bothered to go to. Snakes and Arrows, I believe it was. You listen to it and you're like, that has to be two guitars. And technically it is, because it's a 12-string, but still. You know, it's one guy. And it sounds like a duet.
Well, it's like, you know, yeah, you know, I mean, I get why people like Rush. I mean, and they're honest. They're bringing, and they're not ripping anybody off. They're not doing anything that's phony. That's what they do. It's just, I'm not into what they do. Do you know what I'm saying? I have a lot of respect for them as people as well, because they work. They do their work. They're hard workers. They're not bridge burners. They seem to be kind. People stick around them. You don't hear anything about them. You know, their roadies. You know, their roadies hating on them already. You don't hear anything about that.
Some of them are kind of libertarians.
Yeah, there's that too. People dig that. I get that. But it's all good. It's just not my style. I've never been a guy who's like more notes. I never think that more notes and more parts makes a song. So there's a lot to listen to. And there was a time when I really liked prog rock. I used to listen to a lot of Yes in ELP. I went to see ELP. I went to see Yes, and I liked Gentle Giant, and I liked I liked King Crimson, and I liked all those bands. But then after a while, I just got punk rock came along and roots rock came along, and I kind of ventured over there. Mostly because I'm simple. I can't really play that fast. I never could play that fast. I have like a governor on my. I have a governor that keeps me from going that fast.
God. No comment. Yeah, it used to kill me sometimes. I mean, you do the guitar deal. I had a boyfriend in a band, and he tried to teach me. The closest I got was playing standing string bass. Occasionally. And that was as a result
That'll work
of
your hands.
Oh, hell yes. But yeah, that was the result of a very, very, I can't say he was like a driven man. He was the most laid back person I ever knew. But he was my band director, and he looked at me and he said, "Okay, you can play the piano. What about the keyboards?" He wanted me to play the Moog, and I'm like, okay. So I played it. He didn't realize I'd started off with the church organ. So yes, I can play three keyboards at once, technically, because, you're playing the third with your feet. So, yeah, I can...
Is it really called the Moog?
There's a Moog synthesizer, yeah. Bob
Okay,
Moog.
because, see, I had already pronounced it as Moog because of Andy Moog, the former Dallas Stars goalie. It's pronounced...
No matter what it was, we always used to call it the Moog, because any time that we would fire the damn thing up, if it didn't fire up properly because we had a really old one, it would sound like a freaking cow.
Awesome.
So it doesn't matter how it's supposed to be pronounced. The one that our band owned was the Moog, because if it wasn't working right, it mooed. And Gary, I think you know what I'm talking about, because the old ones, oh my God, it was terrible.
Well, yeah, in my new wave days, when our keyboard player first got into it, he bought himself a Micro Moog, and that was always fun to spend half of our rehearsal waiting for him to program that beast.
Yep. If it didn't fire up right, you were screwed.
Yeah, so you must have had
But yeah, I was so happy when they bought a Roland. I was like, yippee skippy, I love my life. I had that, and then I had the Casio. They actually had... Yeah.
What did you do, like Flock of Seagulls covers?
Oh, God, no.
Flock of Seagulls, a little...
I used to swear when I had to play Point of No Return from Kansas.
Oh, my God. There's another one. Jesus.
Yeah.
Nice. I was correct. It is pronounced Moog.
Whatever.
According to MoogMusic.com.
Oh,
hey, the Moog name.
And speaking of Moog, let's talk and transsexuals. Do you know the guy? Walter Carlos, who did the music for 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And on the Moog synthesizer. Did a lot of, is now Wendy Carlos, has been Wendy Carlos since the making of The Shining, I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah. So
now see, when you say Wendy,
Bruce Jenner's groundbreaking, courageous move, transition is nothing new. I mean, Walter Carlos did it back in the day when it was really, really something to do.
Hmm? Yeah, I imagine he had to go to Sweden, but
I don't even know.
Yeah.
But now, Walter Carlos, the master and the innovator on the Moog synthesizer, is Wendy Carlos. Has been for, God, at least 40 years.
Yeah. Well, see, I started my love affair with Roland because of Nick Rhodes.
Of course you did. You should talk to Shelley about this then. This is Shelley's wheelhouse.
Duran Duran. Good God, I'm admitting to it. Actually, I had almost no interest in the band whatsoever. It was just Nick.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you poor thing.
Well, I was a keyboardist. What do you want? I mean, my goodness. I mean, I love David Foster, too.
Oh, really?
Oh, hell yeah. As a musician, hell yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, what else do you want? I mean, and think about the 80s. I mean, you're talking about major keyboard-laden music all the time.
You don't like Howard Jones then?
Oh, yeah, Howard Jones.
Or what's his face? Thomas Dolby, or the Thompson Twins, or OMD, or, all kinds of cheesy keyboard bands back then.
Oh, yeah. But I preferred the ones where I could actually tell that it wasn't just, going with the flow, and sort of like the folks who like Sarah McLachlan, because they realized just from hearing her voice that she was classically trained. You know what I mean? You could tell the difference.
Yeah. And they have to let
the posers versus the ones that were actually, really trained well.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a big fan of the posers. I did like the other ones. So
I see. What's her? The drummer, the Continental Drifters, Carlo, actually played on what's her name, Tori Amos record. He might play. He actually during the Drifters, he was recording with Tori Amos.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. He's a well-known drummer. He's played with a lot of people. He played with
Tori Amos.
And he just did the Marianne Faithfull record a couple of years ago, too.
Yeah, Tori Amos, the singer who has given birth to God knows how many really bad confessional poets.
Yeah. And if anybody was not suited to be playing with a confessional poet, it would be the drummer Carlo. He was, because he's the opposite of any of that. Great songwriter, amazing drumming, and plays the crap out of the guitar, and and then he was hanging out with Tori Amos, which I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that.
What I found is that good drummers can play any style.
Oh, yeah.
Like Greg Harrington is one of my favorite drummers. He did stuff with Audio Adrenaline. He did stuff for Martina McBride. He's done a whole lot of stuff.
So there's Josh Freese, too.
Yeah.
He's played with everyone. He plays with Devo. He's played with everyone. And also the guy who's been playing with Paul McCartney, Abe Laboriel Jr. That guy's an amazing drummer. That guy's an incredible musician. There are a lot of guys out there that can do that. Abe Laboriel and Josh Freese really stick out for me. Now
there's somebody who I keep on thinking about, and I keep on meaning to go and ask you, and I never remember if I did ask you or not. You know the name Joe Grusecki?
No.
Okay.
Is he old?
Oh, well, hell yeah. He used to hang around with a guy named Bruce Springsteen.
Ah, all right.
Yeah. So you're talking East Coast rock here.
And didn't he hang out with a gal named Liz Harrison?
Yes, he did. More than a few times.
Did I tell you I jammed with Bruce Springsteen?
He did too. He used to write with them.
Yeah, we played, I was in a band called the Ringling Sisters. We played at John McEnroe's birthday party. And McEnroe jammed with us, Springsteen jammed with us. Very nice fella. I know people are really mad at Springsteen because of his politics, etc., and I think they're kind of dumb, but he was actually a really nice fella.
Oh, he's very cool. I got to meet him once for like all of 5 minutes. Fouled under Mama and Daddy were, they weren't on-air DJs. They were the DJs that would go around and do the parties and all of that. But my dad had a reputation. He was called the Doctor. And my mom, there wasn't an on-air DJ in town that ever had anything to do with running a contest that didn't know her name. So, between the two of them, I ended up knowing just about everybody. But a lot of backstage passes. Lots of backstage passes, and that was one. But local music was always my deal. I mean, like Joe Gershecki and, of course, the Clarks. And then there was David Budway. Well, David and Maureen. Maureen just died not very long ago. But those two.
Pennsylvania?
Yep. Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Maureen and David, that was the first time I ever jammed in a bar. It was all David's
It was
fault.
all downhill from there.
It was all downhill from there. I was maybe 15, 16 the first time.
Yeah.
Second time was, I was a bit older. But David would sit there and he'd be playing on the piano, and he'd sit there and say, "Hey, baby, you know this one." And he'd shift over in the seat, and I'd be sitting there playing with him on the piano. And everybody was like, "Who's that?" The one night they decided to put me behind the drums, I was like, "Oh my God, please kill me," because it was all jazz. Which, I'm sorry, I can do the whole rock beat thing a hell of a lot easier. Jazz is hard. Jazz is really hard.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
But, yeah, love them dearly. I felt so bad when Maureen died. She had breast cancer, but
Well, that
gorgeous voice. Only woman I knew who could carry Ave Maria and any jazz standard you could think of.
I can actually play no jazz.
See?
Play no jazz. I was in jazz band in high school. I couldn't play jazz then. I can't play it now. I can't play prog rock, and I can't play jazz. I told you I have a governor. It just stops me from playing a certain speed.
See, you know what I mean then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's all about the music.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's the other reason why everybody... I had a few people pick on me because I have this thing for that BBC music. They did the Brian Wilson medley with, well, everyone. God only knows BBC Music did it. And
wow.
Massive, massive video production, but massive music production. Yeah. I mean, you name the genre, it's there. And they all mixed it into that one song, and I was like, oh. And then, of course, the end of it says, "For the love of music," and I'm like, yes. I mean, I gotta give kudos whenever you can mix all of that stuff together, and you realize, oh, wait a minute. And on top of that, we've got, an operatic singer, too. They actually fit her in. Chrissy Hind with an operatic singer. Go figure.
Sure, why not?
Dave Grohl.
Who produced it?
BBC.
Al Wilner?
I have no idea who the name on it. I just know it was BBC Music. They just took everybody who had been on for like years on BBC Music and threw them all together on God Only Knows. And I was like, oh my God. And they had Brian Wilson sitting there lip-syncing in the video, of course.
Wow.
Love him too.
Who?
Brian Wilson.
Oh yeah.
The Beach Boys.
Yeah, I know. I've actually participated in a show with him a couple times.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very nice guy.
I got friends in his band.
That's cool.
Yeah. They're out there touring with him. They're playing out here soon. Yeah. Know all about Brian.
Yeah, I
Wilson.
haven't.
Here's a story about Brian Wilson. Played a Brian Wilson tribute show that some friends of mine they're called Wild Honey. They have a thing called Wild Honey. They put on tribute shows, and it was years ago. And it was a Brian Wilson tribute show, and he was going to be there. And he showed up, and he was in a bad way. And he showed up with his then wife. I think it's still his wife. She's walking around. She's got her poodle in a purse, and he's walking around with his hand on her shoulder behind her. And then it's his turn to go out and play, and he's got a band lined up. And the first thing he plays, he walks out. He goes, "I'd like to dedicate this song to my ex-wife." and he starts playing I'm a Little Teapot.
Now, on that note, I'm going to cut us short for one reason,
right.
one reason only, because, you know what? I'm going to play out with the Continental Drifters trailer, if you don't mind.
That would be rad.
Alrighty.
Actually,
So-
okay, yeah, knock it out. That'd be great.
All right.
That's me on lead guitar. My buddy Ray is singing. It's a song written by Carlo, the drummer, who's playing this incredible drum beat throughout the song. And it's Susan and Vicky and everyone singing backgrounds on it on the Am I Crooked Letter part.
Alrighty.
So,
Good,
yeah.
good night, folks. Thanks, Gary, for joining us.
That was fun. Have a good time, you guys. Have a